You've promised yourself you'd quit. Maybe 5 times, maybe 50, and every single time, the same story. A few good days. Then something happens, and you're right back where you started. But here's what no one tells you. The worst part isn't the relapse. The worst part is what you start to believe after it. That something is wrong with you. That others can do it, but you can't. That you're weaker. That this is just who you are. I'm going to tell you something important right now. You are not weak. You are just fighting the wrong enemy. The Japanese understood this long before self-help books, life coaches, and 21-day transformation programs ever existed. Samurai, monks, craftsmen, they didn't believe in willpower as the primary tool of change. They knew something deeper. A man doesn't change through force. He changes through rhythm. Today, I'm going to walk you through the complete Japanese system for breaking any bad habit. Not theory, not inspiration. Concrete steps that work with your psychology, not against it. 5 chapters. Each one shifts how you see yourself. Stay until the end, because the last story, about a samurai named Kanoya, personally changed everything for me. Chapter 1. The enemy you think you know. Here's how most people think about their bad habits. I smoke. I'm weak. I procrastinate. I'm lazy. I overeat. I have no self-control. I scroll for hours. I'm pathetic. We label ourselves, and those labels make us helpless. Japanese psychology sees it completely differently. Every bad habit once saved you. Yes, even the one that's destroying your life right now. You reach for a cigarette because once, in a moment of unbearable stress, it gave you a small, real sense of relief. You eat at midnight because food once became your warmth, your false sense of safety. You endlessly scroll because at some point it gave you a feeling of connection when the world around you felt empty and cold. The problem isn't the habit. The problem is the pain underneath it. The wound you once covered with it like an old bandage. And as long as you fight the habit without seeing its root, you will stay in the same loop forever. Promise, attempt, relapse, shame, new promise, new relapse, years, sometimes entire lifetimes. Chapter 2. Why fighting makes it worse. In an ancient Zen school, monks were told one simple thing. Do not wrestle with fog. You will only walk deeper into it. When you try to force your way out of a habit, a war starts inside you. One part wants a new life. Another part desperately defends the old survival strategy. And so the conflict begins. The harder you try to quit smoking, the stronger the pull toward a cigarette. The stricter the diet, the more vividly you dream about dessert. The louder you shout, "New life starts Monday," the faster you collapse by Wednesday. This is not a character flaw. This is physiology. The brain protects stability, even if that stability is slowly killing you. There was a Japanese master of calligraphy. For years he tried to conquer his rage. He meditated. He fasted. He forced himself to stay silent. And the harder he fought, the more violent he became. Until an old teacher said to him one sentence, "Stop fighting the wave. Learn to simply see it." This is where the Japanese approach begins. We don't suppress. We notice. We redirect. This path doesn't break the psyche. It takes it gently by the hand and leads it out of the trap. Chapter 3. The wave inside you. Imagine an evening. The room is almost dark. You're sitting alone, and you feel it rising again. That same craving. And you already know exactly how this ends. Here's what Japanese philosophy gives you in that moment. A craving is not a dragon tearing you apart from the inside. A craving is a wave. Every craving has phases. First, a light impulse, just a thought. Then, a rise toward a peak. A few minutes where it feels impossible to hold on. And then, a fall. A complete disappearance if you don't act on autopilot. Here's the most important thing you need to know. Cravings don't last long, but habits train you to act at the peak. That's why it feels like you can't resist. But you can if you stop fighting. In one school of martial arts, students were brought to the crashing ocean and told, "Stand before the wave, hold still, don't move." The wave knocked them down again and again. The master said, "You're trying to be stronger than the ocean. You need to be more flexible. Fight the craving, it grows. Run from it, it chases you. Distract yourself, it comes back. Observe it, it disappears. This is Zen. Watch the feeling, but don't become it." Chapter 4. The 10-minute rule. This is one of the most powerful Japanese methods. It looks almost ridiculous in its simplicity. When a craving appears, don't forbid it. Delay it. Say to yourself, "I'll do it, just not right now. For 10 minutes, I'll simply sit with this feeling." Don't distract yourself. Don't push the thought away. Just watch the craving like a cloud drifting across the sky. Here's what happens next. Minute 1, the desire is still strong. Minute 2, the body tenses slightly. Minutes 3 and 4, the peak arrives. It feels like the wave is swallowing you whole, and then it starts to ease. By minute 7 or 8, noticeably lighter. By minute 10, the wave has almost vanished. And here's the key moment. When the peak has passed, you are no longer making a decision under pressure. You are choosing consciously. And a conscious choice is almost always a healthy one. That same businessman, the one who smoked for 20 years, who tried patches, pills, hypnosis, apps, hard promises, he finally quit using exactly this method. He never once forbade himself a cigarette. He simply stopped surrendering to the wave. Chapter 5. Name the demon. A craving almost always hides in fog. I just feel like it. I'll just relax. One time won't hurt. There is a simple Zen technique. Name the feeling, calmly, without judgment. The moment a craving rises, say to yourself, "This is the urge to smoke. This is anxiety. This is boredom. This is exhaustion." In that moment, you separate yourself from the impulse. You are no longer, "I want." You become, "A desire has appeared inside me." The samurai said, "If you name the demon, it loses half its power." The craving stops being a monster. It becomes an ordinary physical sensation, one you can simply wait out. And one more thing about the peak. Most people believe the peak of a craving is just the beginning, that it only gets worse from there. The opposite is true. The peak is the wave's last desperate breath. After it, only descent. Hold on for a few minutes, and you are free. Give in, and the cycle starts again. Every time you surrender, the bridge between the feeling and the automatic action gets stronger. But here's the good news. That bridge can be taken apart, gently, step by step. Chapter 6. The Art of Replacement. Imagine a house where you tear down an old wall but don't build a new one. What's left is a hole. Chaos. Danger. The same is true with habits. If you remove the old action and give nothing in its place, the brain creates a void. And a void is painful. So it returns to what it knows, even if what it knows is destructive. That's why the Japanese don't just break habits. They replace them. The key question that changes everything. Not how do I quit, but what am I trying to numb? Stress, boredom, loneliness, anxiety, exhaustion. Every bad habit is a coping mechanism. A bad one, but still a mechanism. When you find the answer, the next question becomes, what can I do instead to get the same feeling without the destruction? Instead of sugar, warm tea, and a slow, deep breath. Instead of endless scrolling, a short walk outside. Instead of a cigarette, a few conscious, deliberate breaths. Instead of the phone before bed, a sheet of paper and a few simple thoughts written down. One condition, the replacement must be easy. Otherwise, the brain will reject it. When the new ritual repeats, again and again, the old habit begins to die on its own. You stop feeding the impulse. You close the real need through a different door. Neural pathways rewire. This is no longer a battle. This is growth. Chapter 7. The autopilot is the real enemy. Inside every person live two selves, the automatic self and the conscious self. Destructive habits almost always belong to the automatic self. It doesn't ask, it doesn't hesitate, it doesn't choose. It simply repeats what it has done 1,000 times before. Your hand reaches for your phone, not because you need it, but because it's used to. You reach for something sweet, not from hunger, but from pattern. You open social media, not from real desire, but from inertia. The samurai understood this clearly. The real enemy is not a feeling. The real enemy is a life lived on autopilot. In Japanese culture, there is a concept, ichi-go, ichi-e. It means one meeting, one moment. This moment is unique. It will never exist again in exactly this way. A samurai might repeat one sword movement 10,000 times, but he approached each one as if it were the first. This is how automatism is destroyed. This is how awareness is born. Apply this to your daily life. Your hand moves toward the phone. Stop for a moment. Say to yourself, this is a new moment. I can choose, not just repeat. One micro decision like that already breaks the chain. Chapter 8. 3 seconds of power. This is one of the simplest and yet most powerful techniques. You catch yourself in an automatic action? Make a pause. Count to 3 silently, not to forbid yourself, to return control. Those 3 seconds activate the conscious brain, where one moment before, there was only pure reaction. A choice appears. The samurai practiced this too. Before a strike, a pause. Before a step, a pause. Before a decision, a pause. Inside that pause was their power. Chapter 9. What to do after a relapse. You will relapse at least once, probably more than once, and that is normal. The problem is not that a person falls. The problem is that he believes the fall is the end of the road. Zen master said, a relapse is part of the path. Not a mistake, a lesson. A relapse exists so you can see the weak link, understand which emotion triggers the habit, learn to notice the impulse in time, build real, tested resilience. Without falling, there is no real discipline. Here's how most people react to a relapse. Relapse to self-judgment, to shame, to lost motivation, to return to the old pattern. This is the Western style of inner war. The Japanese way is different. First, simple acknowledgement, without drama. Yes, I did this. It happened. No self-flagellation, no catastrophizing. Second, the right question. Not why am I so weak, but what was I feeling in the moment right before I relapsed? The answer almost always leads to a specific trigger. Exhaustion, boredom, stress, loneliness, anxiety, disappointment. Understand the trigger, and you can change the pattern. Third, and most important, recovery begins not on Monday. It begins right now. A relapse is not a period. It is a comma. the path continues. Chapter 10. Kaizen, the way of 1%. The ancient Japanese masters noticed something. Strong people don't defeat habits. They grow beyond them. This is Kaizen, the way of small, almost invisible steps that, together, change a person more profoundly than any heroic leap. The most dangerous enemies are not outside. The most dangerous are the quiet voices within. Do it tomorrow. Start perfectly. You're not enough. You won't change anyway. Against these voices, the system of small steps was built. There is a word, nomi, a small chisel that Japanese woodworking masters used to carve the most precise details. One strike, a second, a third. Day after day, year after year. This is how temples were built that stand for centuries. The samurai carried this principle into life. A small action repeated many times is more powerful than 1,000 loud promises. When you change behavior by 1%, the brain's resistance doesn't activate. No panic, no self-sabotage. You are not breaking yourself. You are creating space for growth. Inside that space, bad habits quietly become unnecessary. The story of Kanoya. There was once a young samurai named Kanoya. He was weaker than all the others. He lost almost every duel. He made more mistakes than anyone. The other students laughed. You were born to be defeated. But Kanoya had one quality. He always showed up tomorrow. Every day, no fanfare, no grand promises. Not especially talented, not fast, not the bravest. But every single day, he took one small step. A few strikes with the sword. Some days, he simply walked onto the training ground when others couldn't be bothered to leave their beds. Then one day, the masters noticed. His strikes had become steadier. His stance more stable. His breathing deeper. He didn't become great suddenly. He quietly outgrew everyone else. When they asked him how he had become so strong, he answered, I don't feel strong. I just stopped stopping. These words were written in a scroll. The one who does not quit wins, even without talent. The samurai formula here is the complete system. Notice the craving, but don't act immediately. The wave will pass on its own. Give yourself 10 minutes. This is how automatism is broken. Name the emotion. This is how you separate yourself from the impulse. Replace the ritual. Never leave a void. This is how a new path is built. Take small steps every day. 1% growth per day changes a life. Analyze relapses without shame. This is how mistakes become strength. Act regardless of mood. This is how a real warrior lives. And at some point, there will be a morning. You'll wake up and realize you are no longer fighting an endless war with yourself. You simply became a different person. Not because you won some heroic battle once, but because every single day you took one small, honest step. If this reached you, share it. Someone out there needs to hear this today.